Then, children of the night, what music they make.
Hello, and welcome to Real Horror Show. I'm one of your hosts, Conor McMahon, and I'm joined by...
Ali Horror.
Mark Sheridan.
Conor Dowling.
Boom. Yes. Great. Okay, so Halloween is over. What films did people see? First of all, let's have a talk about some movies that we watched over Halloween.
Straight to Ali.
I work straight through Halloween, so I haven't seen a freaking movie in 15 days. 15 days!
That's so
Not
sad.
a single movie.
Except for The Witch, but I watched that last night.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Why would we get to that? Should we get to that now? How does
Yeah,
this
let's
work?
talk about The Witch.
Let's talk
yeah.
about The Witch now.
Let's talk about The
Yeah,
Witch.
'cause it's the only recent horror film I've seen in 15 days. I was so excited for it. Like, I was really like, I think you were in LA when it came out, weren't you, Connor?
Yeah, I saw an early screener of it.
Yeah. And I was like so excited to see it. And then it was the biggest anticlimax I've ever seen. I was like, yeah, take the microphone, go on, discuss.
But actually, I'm curious because Connor, if you saw an early screener of it, what was your? Because like was that before all the hype had really kicked in? Or?
No, I'd never heard of it. It was the first time I'd ever heard of it. And I went home, I watched it on, it was like a Vimeo link or something. And I loved it. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I was blown away. I was I'm trying to think, because I've been trying to write a witch film for years.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was always on my mind was to do a witch in that old style, in the fairy tale style, and not a witch in the sense of a human that's sort of, you know, the old woman down the road who kind of idea, you know, or the teen doing witchcraft or whatever, but something kind of timeless or do you know what I mean?
Something more primal as well. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old school.
Okay, I wasn't quite completely sold on the film either, like Ali, but I think it was more along the lines because they did a very good trailer for it that they put in the cinemas. It was very horror based, and I think it kind of set up unfortunate standards for the film, which isn't the film's fault at all. But when you've created kind of an expectation of a genuinely scary horror film, it's not quite that, if you know what I mean. Like, it is more of a drama with, you know, kind of very good, interesting kind of questions, but it doesn't push the horror buttons.
No, it sells itself out like every single time. And
Do you mean by horror, like no jump scares, or what are we talking about?
like the atmosphere of it, like it had this perfect setting. Like, they were banished at the start of it. They were out in the middle of nowhere. There was this forest. We didn't see the forest enough. We didn't see the farm enough. We didn't see, you know, I was never scared watching it. At one point, my friend looked over at me and he was like, "Are you bored?" And I was like, I don't want to admit that I'm bored, but yeah, I'm freaking bored.
I know what you're saying there. Like, I mean, I didn't completely dislike the film. You know, I had problems with it, but I did like things about it. But I did find that the whole film was just this big downward trajectory, like through the plot. Like, you know, it's this like destruction of this girl, you know. So, you know, for the most part of the film, you're just going, oh my God, can things get any worse? Oh yeah, they can. Oh, and they're just getting, you know, like so many horrible things are happening in your life. It's hard not to feel this sense of just like despair when you're watching it, you know. So like, it's not the most enjoyable film experience, but I did think there were some good like horror sequences, like that thing where the son was like they were exercising him or something like that, and the apple came out as well. I thought that was terrifying. I thought that was really.
It was actually full of images that stick in your head.
There's like very iconic stuff, you know, whether people debate whether it was real or imagined. Like, you know, the scenes in the woods with the witch are pretty shocking early on. Like, it's very jarring, and that bit I kind of thought this is going to be really disturbing and very unsettling. What caught me off actually, and again, it might be just I'm not great with kind of period films sometimes, just the very old-fashioned use of dialogue. And I know people say because it's taken from original text and this is how people would have spoken, but it just, I found it very hard to get into and actually buy it. It felt like people trying to speak properly. It's like if I'm watching an actor and I think they're trying too hard to do an accent, as opposed to me just believing that they're feeling it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I did notice they brought in modern day dialogue and language, like and ways, like the way sometimes she would speak is very modern, and then the husband would be like, "Thou shalt not kill."
Thou shalt not talk in modern tongue.
What is this witchcraft?
It just jarred a bit. But like the opening scene with the freaking, that was amazing. I thought I was gung ho
With the baby?
with the baby.
Yeah,
that was
great.
whopper. And then it just like, and what you were saying there about, you know, it can't get much worse. I didn't feel like anything for her really.
Yeah.
Like I like the worst part was when I first saw Black Phillip, I was like, oh, I bet you he's to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, sorry for spoilers. 7 nights. Let's go. Come on.
No, but it is a problem. No, like, cause like I was like Black Phillip, like it's a very impressive looking goat, and all that stuff is great. Yeah, I there, you know, I'm a big fan of Antichrist, and a lot of people that bit with the
brilliant.
talking fox is it's a make or break moment that you either go with it or you don't. Yeah. I went with it in Antichrist, and I actually loved it. Yeah, in The Witch, I didn't quite feel they'd earned it, and without spoiling it on people who haven't seen the film, because we don't go right up to the very end. Like, what did you guys think of the final movement? Like a nice
it's
because I quite liked that bit actually, but I know some people wished they hadn't gone that far.
That seemed to be the general perception. I know when I watched it, I really liked that at the start because it's hard to talk about without spoiling it.
Yeah, but do you think it worked, or do you think
I did? Yeah, like I definitely got on board when I saw it the first time.
I think it was great because it just kind of put everything we had just seen into perspective. You know, it's like, that's what was been going on this whole time. She's been getting groomed, you know, essentially for the next thing that happens. Really?
I thought, oh, sorry, yeah. I thought it was like you're going to ruin it.
I
Can
think
we talk about like, The Witch? Like, it has been out on
that's it.
DVD and stuff. Is it okay? If you don't want to know the very ending, and even though we've ruined most of it on you, stop listening now, watch it, and then come back.
But like her going up to that to what do you call it? A coven,
yeah.
Of witches, and like she just starts floating up, and they all start floating up, and I was like watching it, and I was like, this is a mix between Antichrist, between #horror and 2001: A Space Odyssey with the music, and it just like it. I laughed. I was like, it didn't give me the ending that I wanted it to have. Like, I wanted her, like, maybe if she had gone up to that fireplace on her own and there was no other witches there and she had hovered, maybe, possibly. Her and a bunch of other naked women all floating up into the air. I was like, yeah, exactly. Laughing.
But Connor liked it, actually. Like, I don't know. Okay, for me, I think...
I don't know why I liked it. I can't quite articulate why I liked it.
But do you not think... Because, like, for me, it's probably the bits I did like in the film, which... aren't what the film is all about, but say the scene with the witch earlier on and the kind of goriness of that, like, and that final scene, it reminded me much more of that kind of operatic Argento type, visually really impressive, and so it didn't quite fit the film, but like in a cinema screen it looked great, like it was very impressive, and I kind of, the rest was so flat or
the rest of it just did seem very kind of standard period, dreary kind of setting, as opposed to this like supernatural.
The only defense I'd give the ending, which I you know, for people who don't like it, is because you can read the film whichever way you want, but it makes sense if the whole thing is in her head, as in like it's the suppression of the age and stuff that's damaging her, because the images of the witch and the house in the woods and the ending look completely different to the rest of the film. And at the end of the film, she's so emotionally destroyed by these things. There's an implication it's possible that she's just shifted on, that she's made that switch in her head, and that's where she. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's happened, but that she has just made a complete mental break from that reality, and she's gone off into pure fantasy land.
Yeah.
You know? It also could have worked. What I thought is that the whole family is after getting cabin fever.
Because, yeah, absolutely.
Like, I do agree with what you're saying about her like making that like distinction and her breaking away from it, but like the whole family did that. Like the mother attacked her, the father, like everyone just bonkers. So yeah, I've lost.
No, but that's what it is. It is cabin fever, though, isn't it? It's like that idea of like whether there's actual evil or not. It creates evil in people when they get fearful and
yeah.
It's hysteria.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, so let's move on from The Witch.
Okay, yeah,
we're done.
We're done tearing it apart.
That's the last we'll hear.
Look, we're done spoiling that movie.
What else can we spoil?
So the Horrorthon was on, so we could talk about some of the films. Train to Busan, which was the opening movie.
Train to Busan.
So how many of us have seen? So who's the biggest fan of? I think it should be the defense.
Loved it.
I loved it.
Loved it
Okay,
so
well, so
much.
it's just me. So go. I'm curious to hear how you saw it.
Okay, right. Well, I saw it. I actually didn't see it in the Horrorthon because it was sold out because it was so popular.
Everything's just a dig at Mark. The fact that he's not going to like.
This is bullying, folks.
But I saw it in the Lighthouse, and you know, I started watching the trailer just before I was going to see it, just to see like, oh, what's this all about? Because I didn't really know much about it, and I just had to turn off the trailer halfway through because I felt that the trailer was a huge spoiler for so many great moments in the film. Like, there's some really great, surprising moments in the film that like were just totally spoiled from the trailer. But I just felt that it was a really well told and well made zombie action film with some good dramatic moments, and it felt like it borrowed a lot of things from different zombie films and even The Walking Dead, some things from The Walking Dead, and just used them really well. Like even like that duct tape around the arms thing, like that's from The Walking Dead. And I just loved a lot of the kind of set pieces and images in it of like that like little baseball team that were on the train, and lots of little devices with the light. I thought that stuff with the light was brilliant when they go through the tunnel.
Oh yeah, that was.
I thought that was brilliant. It's really tense moments, you know. And I just thought it wasn't predictable. You know what I mean? Like by like the kind of finale, the end of the film, it wasn't necessarily what I expected.
And what I loved as well is it you know, where it isn't just the zombies as well. It was just the breakdown among the people, or the class, or the
human stories. And like, you know, it kind of starts with this story of this, you know, overworked businessman and his daughter who he never sees. It's kind of stereotypical story, and you're kind of watching going, okay, I know they have to set up the characters, but I just want them to get onto the train for all the action to kick off. But then that story becomes really important throughout the film, and you get really invested in the characters, I think. And that's the point of those films. It's like you can have a bunch of zombies on a train, but if you don't have the emotional element of the relationships of the people, you won't care who's getting slashed and hacked and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the two things I like just to add to that was, one, I love action films where you can see everything that's happening and it's really clear. You know what I mean? So it was one of these things where it wasn't messy, the action.
Yes.
It was just very, like, I always could know exactly what was happening, and so the tension, I think, worked. And the final thing, again, it comes back to that story. Like, I was nearly crying at the end of that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
You see, because that, like, finish your bit,
Yeah, and that's, I mean, to me, that was just like, I can see why it's obviously strikes some chord. And like you say, it is quite simplistic, the narrative. Yeah. But at the same time, and I think it's down to the little kids acting. Yeah. But I did think it sort of had, it was definitely, which you wouldn't normally get from a zombie film.
Totally.
Wow.
See, that's the, it's weird because what you guys have loved about it is actually the problem I had. I didn't get any of the emotion or the sentimentality of it, and that's what actually bugged me. Like, visually, very striking, like some very impressive kind of... it's not scary as such, but there's an intensity and an aggression to the kind of attacking moments.
Like, it was more of an action movie.
Yeah, there are bits where you sit back and kind of go, wow, that's very impressive, you know, and there's definitely striking images in there, but they didn't particularly scare me. What made me enjoy it less was, it's maybe just generally what I like more in these films, is I didn't, like, the kid was a very cute kid, no doubt about it, but it was a very cheap in. I didn't buy any of the relationships. Like, I thought, you know, everyone was a standard. He's either the jerk, he's the big muscly one, he's the overworked dad. And, like, because we're not going to talk directly about later on bits, but there's an attempt to bring in a lot of sentimentality at the end just by lashing in a lot of sentimental music.
Oh, the music,
and is there like a very silly flashback or something? There's something that just... It was basically...
Oh, don't bring it up.
But, you know, because I'm amazed, because obviously that has worked for people, because generally a lot of people really like it. And I, like, you know, no problem with people liking it, but it just didn't work for me.
I think that's a clear point, though, because, like, if you're not connected with the characters, you'll only really stand for so much of that zombie attack stuff. You know, like, yeah, that's cool, that's fun, but I don't really care. But if you do care, I think it's a really powerful film. And, like, even that character who's, like, the muscly type of character, I thought he was a brilliant character.
He was the most interesting for me.
He was. I thought he was a real, like, no, I don't, like relax, but I think he was like a bit of a Han Solo type of character, you know, the false hero type of character, you know. He's a bit of a dickhead. He's kind of clashes with the main character a lot, but he has everyone's back, you know.
The drama in it, though, I don't know, does anyone see Headshot?
I skipped it. Was it good? I didn't.
Like, the thing with Headshot, and which I didn't, it's sort of along the lines of what you're saying. Like, I thought in Headshot, the drama was really bad, and the act. I mean, they're obviously very good fighters. The fighting wasn't particularly well filmed, but I thought.
Which is a disaster. You're right about Busan, though. That's a really important thing. It annoys me when I can't follow the action.
Yeah. But in a way that the drama in Headshot, I just didn't buy into it, and it did play that sentimental music and all, and yeah, it's very the father character. You know, I mean, they really lay it on like exactly what he's like. But I don't know why it didn't bother me. And I think it's probably more to do with the kid than the main guy. Yeah. I did sort of... She looked like she was a good actress. Like,
no, absolutely. She was really strong. Without without getting onto... So there's that ending part of it, just the sentimentality that kind of threw me off a bit. And it's another one because, like, big fan of zombie films. And pretty much all the films I'd say I love have all the stuff that Busan used. So it's kind of hard to say why it didn't work for me in that one. But... You know, even the class kind of warfare and people turning on each other. And, you know, when that works in films, I think it's brilliant. This one, it felt very hedged in there towards the end. All of a sudden, it's the upper class don't like the poorer class, you know. Like, I don't know, it didn't feel to me like the person who was writing the script really felt that way about the world. He kind of thought, like, this will be another interesting thing that they'll do. Like, what was the other train one that... What's that? Snowpiercer or whatever.
Someone get me a baby.
That went for it, you know, in a different way. But like, it clearly wanted to make a big sort of statement about that type of stuff. This one sort of, it was like it was the kitchen sink that got tossed in on top of it. Like,
so did you like it? I'm struggling to figure out.
No, it just I couldn't enjoy it because I appreciated it, but the sentimentality and the lack of characters didn't. Like, say 28 Days Later, the bit when Brendan Gleeson gets a drop of blood in his eye.
Spoilers.
Now, fuck it, if you haven't watched it, folks, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast. Yeah. But that genuinely still upsets me every time because 28 Days Later, I really cared about all of them. You know, like Jim and whatever Naomi Harris's character is, like. All of them are.
What's her name? What's her name?
She was so cool and so tough. But you know what I mean? Like, 'cause like that was a devastating moment without any kind of major aggression or anything like that. But then I didn't realize I cared as much in that film until that moment happened. I didn't have anything like that in this, if you know what I mean. And Danny Boyle was a director who was willing to give the space to allow that moment to be a really quiet, very tragic moment, while Busan kind of. You know, it followed it up with a lot of bashing and stuff like that just to keep things rolling. And it's quite long as well. Yeah, very much so. Very.
So is it a horror? Is it because from what you guys are, I literally have like The Room in my head with zombies right now. Oh, yeah, like is it
The Room as in?
Because you keep talking about the kid and like
Lenny Abramson, The Room.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah,
The Room.
So like
zombies.
Is it? Is it actually like a horror? Is it one of these films like we were talking about the other day? Is it like an elevated genre? Like, is it?
I think it's an action movie with zombies.
Yeah.
What do you think, Connor?
Okay.
I think it's not like. What am I trying to say? Yeah, it's kind of like a drama action zombie movie.
But is it? Yeah, okay. So see, exactly. But I think it's not quite definitely any of them with elements of like. So it's not like a zombie movie with drama. It's not a drama film
with zombies.
Yes.
Except Speed
that sounds amazing.
I thought it was going to be snakes on a plane on a train, but it's not. It's much better than that.
Yeah, it's not cheesy like that actually. Yeah.
No snakes on a plane.
But didn't they make a sequel?
It's not a sequel, but it was one of those. I think Asylum cheap. It's like paranormal entities instead of paranormal activities. They also made Transmorphers.
Yeah.
Titanic 2. They
called
lightning can strike twice.
They call those mockbusters. Mockbusters. Yeah. But here's two final things about Train to Busan for me anyway. One thing that I really loved about it was that. You know, it's a zombie movie, but as far as I remember, there's no guns in the film. So they have their own kind of style of action for fighting the zombies. They basically have baseball bats, their fists, duct tape on their arms, and like shields. So it's this really kind of creative way of fighting zombies. It's not just, you know, Walking Dead style headshot. Oh, this guy's a bow and arrow. You know, I thought that was really unique, which I think kind of makes it stand out from other zombie movies. But as well, because, you know, like other zombie movies that aren't... you know, up in the top zombie movies. But the other thing that I was kind of worried about when I was going to see the film was, you know, the way in the past few years there's been all this World War Z type Lemmings.
I kind of like World War
Z.
I
thought World War Z was really, really.
I couldn't get through it.
Oh, really? I couldn't get through it. Can
we just talk about for 1 second?
Yes.
That freaking trailer with the like the
Avalanche of zombies.
call it.
Is that what you're talking about? That's what I'm talking about.
They did that in.
They
Train
do,
to
yeah.
But
There's 2 moments.
No,
of
but
that,
here's my point on that. Right, I was worried: is this going to be another people avalanche movie like World War Z? Because it's just this really dodgy CGI thing where they've generated a whole load of people to fall, and it just looks kind of crappy and computerized. Right? In Train to Busan, it just looked like they just pushed about 50 people through a glass window,
Like
and
legit people.
like real people.
Wow.
You know, and I thought that was really really well
How
done.
they do it in Korea.
That's what I was thinking. I was
keep the
like,
budget
they've
down.
got some questionable methods in Asia. In
There
their
was
filmmaking.
that. There was a particular thing where I think it was the Ankh-Bak guy.
Oh, yeah,
where,
Tony Jaa.
I don't know how true it was, but apparently one of the films where
Steadicam
where they'd get poor people, and they'd pay them like $1 or whatever a year's wages was, and they'd run in and he'd break their arms.
Jesus. No. Yeah?
Now I don't know how true that is, but it was.
Oh,
but
that sounds good.
It had a name, like a thing that they did.
Oh my god!
So, like-
that's
Will they
horrifying.
pay for their healthcare?
That was in
afterwards?
Thailand.
Well, yeah, no,
Sure.
I'm not sure they were too worried about that side of things.
Oh my god!
Well, we'll
Wow.
follow up on that. We'll have an
Wow,
exclusive
that's
report.
that's
next
real.
week.
That's real horror.
Yeah.
So horror films. What else did we watch?
Yeah, well, was there anything else for the Horrorthon that stood out to people?
I saw. Well, we'll talk about your film in a minute, Mark. For a
Oh,
little
fuck,
bit.
no.
Well, just briefly, because I know you did another podcast on it with Filmbase, but that was before the event.
That's
so
true.
to say. The other one that I saw, I mean, the 2 ones I heard people talking about that I really want to see are Raw and the Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I hear are both very good. And did anyone see any of them?
Yep.
I didn't see them.
It was just me then.
Okay.
Great. Well, that'll all be on my head now. So Raw. No, okay. They're the 2 kind of they're the ones that everyone was excited about,
Yeah.
which is always a bit difficult because there's kind of an element of hype and excitement about it. Raw is a French horror film. I don't want to get too far into the story of it, but it's about a girl who goes to a boarding school. She's going to become a vet, where her sister's also in school. She comes from a very strict family of vegetarian and vegans, and she's put through this kind of fraternity type ritual of making them eat a bit of raw meat and stuff like that to, you know, christen them into this fraternity, and she kind of develops a taste for it, and it kind of goes from there. What's weird about Raw is from the very beginning you get this real sense of this is going to be really intense, and it's going to be really nasty, and there's 1 or 2 moments early on where you just have this sense of this is just going to get pretty tough. And it kind of just doesn't, though. It kind of pulls back, and it's a good film. It's an interesting film. You know, it turns more into a dark comedy as it goes on, but it has a terrible sense of feeling a little bit too full of itself. It kind of pulls out at the end and doesn't really have a great ending, and it sort of just raises the music and thinks people are going to think this is genius. And I kind of think it might, you know, it's Emperor's New Clothes type stuff. It didn't satisfy. What it sets up is great. It just didn't quite get there. And then the Autopsy of Jane Doe is definitely worth watching. Again, though, like from talking to everyone afterwards, it's another one of those ones where the first half is by far the strongest. Very simple setup. This girl is just found dead in a murder scene. She's brought for the autopsy, and it's a father and son who are doing it. And as they're doing it, they're finding bizarre... it's hard because I don't want to get into too much what it is, but there's very strange things they're discovering during the autopsy in her body and about her that make them question what she could have been involved in and whether there's something supernatural or not at play. You know the kind of films where they build up that great sort of tension of, is there something supernatural, is there not, is it black magic, but you know, is it just real people, and there's that kind of real fear of it. And the problem with those films, though, as soon as you see something, it kind of it breaks that, and it, like everything, like all the rest of it was fine. It just it couldn't quite live up to that whole wonder. Once the wonder was kind of burst, it lost a little bit, but it's still like very good and definitely worth watching.
And was it a found footage?
No, it's straight up shot, very, very nicely shot. Actually, it looks like it's set to be an American film, but I think it was shot in England, as far as I know.
The one I saw was a found footage, which I thought was really good. Found footage 3D.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that good? Is it?
That
I heard
the
it's
title
great.
of it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Wow.
Really good.
What's the sort of one line on that? What's it about?
The premise, it's basically an idea that I had. Just saying.
Scott Weinberg, if you're listening.
But I'd been thinking about it for a few years. But I mean, the film is so good. It's better than, you know what I mean? I mean, all I had was the idea, which is basically the concept of a found footage film, and the people are going to make a found footage film.
Yes.
So, like, you know the way normally it's like,
I remember you saying that to me a while ago, actually. Yeah.
but they really like. I mean, the whole 3D thing really works as well. Like they've got these little 3D cameras. Like,
is it actually in 3D?
Yeah, the whole film
they're
is
just
in
handy
3D.
cams, but it's 3D.
Yeah. And it's really well done because they kind of. But what makes the film work is it's able to take the piss out of the genre and also work within the genre. So like they'll slag off a jump scare and why they're stupid right before a jump scare actually happens. So it's like this commenting on the genre that lets them get around the fact that
the kind of cliches of it.
Yeah. And but it's just like the dynamic. Again, it's just the characters are great and the dynamic because like the main guy who's making the film. And then there's his brother's making the documentary about the film. So that's sort of what you're watching, the documentary about the film. And he's asked his, I think it's his ex-girlfriend or his ex-wife, is the actress. So there's this kind of tension between, you know, all the different people on the set. And I don't know, it's just very funny. I thought, and what it does is as well is it combines scariness with comedy with scariness. Like, do you know what I mean? The both things work together. Like, so you can be laughing 1 minute and then it's genuinely quite creepy.
How did the 3D work actually with just, because you know the found footage with that kind of bit of movement and motion, 3D can kind of be very sort of juddery or not? Like, did that...
to me, it really, because they do the things, like I always think it's 3D and I love when things fly out in the camera and like, because the guys have 3D cameras, that's what they're doing. They're like going, woo, and they're putting their fingers into the lens, like, and they're like as excited about the 3D. And, you know, but, it really works. And there's a bit where they just stick two GoPros together to get their 3D effect. Oh, yeah. And it's the first time I've seen kind of handheld. Like, do you know what I mean? You never know.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because usually they keep it very still for that reason. That
really works. Yeah, it really works. Bizarrely works. Yeah.
And do you think it will work not in 3D? Like, because presumably most people don't have 3D TVs and stuff. So when it comes to streaming, and like, is it only going to work? Is it like a fairground 3D ride that with the 3D it's great, but without...
No, I don't think so. I think it'd work either way. Yeah. Like the 3D is just a bonus, I think.
Yeah.
That those kind of, it's like that Jackass the movie. That was one of my favorite 3D movies.
That was one of the best 3D movies out there.
And it really worked in 3D, but it's not necessary.
It's so necessary. Always need the Jackass boys in 3D right in my face. Yeah.
You're the one who made that motion with your hands. No one else saw that.
It was a funny year though at the Horrorthon that way though, where like there was a lot of films. They seem to have kind of drifted away from the supernatural kind of ghosty side. There's a lot of ones about people either in cages, you know, not the, because it's gone for the it's gone from the torture porn type stage. So it's not like, you know, really horrible graphic violence, but it's a lot of more almost drama of people, you know, damaged people trying to deal with their issues and stuff. Even the surprise film Devil's Candy, you know, it was missing that kind of that ghosty element that actually I quite like in horror films. Like when you watch a lot of these together, like they were all good films, but you don't quite get that buzz you would have gotten out of watching your kind of a classic, whether it's a slasher or a haunted house film or anything. You know, that kind of that element of I'm having a good time with this as well, and I've had that excitement. It sounds like Found Footage 3D did have that kind of element of.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah.
But like that element, like we were saying last week, I don't think people are as interested anymore. Like because the world is such a horrible and horrifying place to begin with, like right now. That's why people want to see like these real movies, these character-driven movies. These like, I mean, that's why The Walking Dead is like more about the characters than it is about the zombies. It's the same as like people don't want to watch ghosts. Shut up. People don't want to watch the ghosts. They want to see real people having, you know, like, is it in their head? Is it not in their head? They want to relate to it more because ghosts don't scare people anymore. It's what's happening around them scares them.
That's weird though, because like for me, I think the reasons people would want supernatural stuff more is the reason I think Game of Thrones and stuff is so huge is actually people want to escape reality. Like I don't necessarily want to go and watch a horror film and actually just be reminded about how like sick and depraved some people in the world are. I don't know. It's not really. Do you not think it's an escapism element as opposed to here? I'd love to like see a deep philosophical exploration of people's damaged brains.
I think people have forgotten about what escapism truly is, and also I do think a lot of people are. Excuse me for offending thee, but there a lot of people are up their holes right now. They really are like, you know, everyone's so PC and everyone's like, you know, like super trendy. Or it's like the French New Wave. I know you like the French New Wave. I saw that. But like it's, you know, it's they're not as interested in the medium as being like an escapist entertainment medium. They want it to be smart, and so that they can go and twiddle their mustaches and go like, oh yes, that was very smart. Oh yes, that person reminded me of Trump.
I agree,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And it's like, ugh, you're killing cinema.
Yeah, no.
No, I totally agree. Like, it's like, I mean, don't want to get political on this on this show, but it is that thing where people say it's the reason someone like Trump is created. It's out of the other extreme of people going, you can't say this, you can't do that, and it sort of creates a monster that goes, yes, I'm going to say all those things. Do you know?
Yeah, ironically, that's what Trump was saying about the creation of ISIS. You know, we've switched over here, but he said that because they got rid of the previous bad guys, the Al Qaeda, it created this vacuum that something had to come out of it. There's your horror movie.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I would love to see Trump as a
Have you seen that short film that of Trump as the giant robot, like, and all these Mexicans are fighting him? Have you seen that? It's a short film that someone made. It's a proper little cinematic thing, and Trump is this gigantic, like, mecha Trump thing.
It's
you
like
know?
the Barbra Streisand from South Park.
Exactly, Mecha Streisand. He's like he's a big robot, and all these Mexicans are just like trying to kill him, and like he's trying to, you know, keep them out of the border.
But is it weird? Okay, so keeping it with the whole film kind of, or the horror film side of things, like, so like the Dead Zone, I can't remember what is it Bartlett or no, that's the President Bartlett from the West Wing, but it is Martin Sheen playing your man, the politician in it, and like, you know, spoiler alert for the Dead Zone. But it's been around for like 40 years, so get over it. But no, like, you know, so that's the whole point of that is basically he is playing Trump as a character, that type of potential madman who is unhinged, and it's that whole, if you could stop this person before they become a president, should you, and interference of that. But the weird thing that we've kind of come up with now is, again, this is a spoiler for the Dead Zone, but at the end of it, when Christopher Walken tries to kill him, he actually fails. But what Martin Sheen does is he actually picks up a kid to try use as a human shield to defend himself. So without actually succeeding in killing him, he exposed the truth of this monster. But we're actually living in a world where I think if Donald Trump had done that, his supporters wouldn't have turned on him. And that's the scary reality. Because like those films, it's like when, you know, was it George Orwell said about like 1984? It's, you know, we always knew they were going to have the cameras all on us. What we didn't know is we'd invite them into our own home. You know, it's the same thing. It's actually, we're endorsing these people. It's not like they've snuck in, and, you know, they actually have been very out in the open, and people are like, go for it. So the monsters are real. And was it Stephen King said, and sometimes they win.
But that's to move to end the political thing, because politics sucks bollocks. But I mean, that's why I think that we didn't see that many supernatural films, because they're simply put, they're just not trendy or smart enough right now for people who want to go have a craft beer to talk about afterwards.
That's true. But then, because it's funny, because like obviously in the 70s, all those ones, whether it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the fear of your neighbor, you know, or the fear of the more rural settings, or the Night of the Living Dead and the supposed political subtext of those things, like people did use those fantastical situations to actually talk about their real fears, you know. And in all these countries where there's been major suppression, books and films have always been used as a way to kind of bring in those kind of messages through genre work, you know?
Absolutely. And you know, I was listening to Jordan Peele recently. Do you know Jordan Peele from Key and Peele?
He's made
he has a new film coming out. I can't think of the name. If anyone knows it, let us know. Text us in on this number now. But Jordan Peele's new film, and it's all about race. And he said for years, horror films were a way to talk about race, you know, and racial relationships with people. And if you look at the Night of the Living Dead films, each one of those, the two leads are a black man and a white woman, you know, which was just so out of the norm. Like no other films were doing that, you know, back then. So his film is this weird kind of like Stepford wife, African American thing. It looks really cool. The trailer for it. It's with Blumhouse.
Cool. Yeah.
And the trailer dropped there a few weeks ago, and I'm just really excited about it.
What's it called, sir? Oh wait,
that's the thing. We're still waiting.
We don't know.
We're still waiting on the text to come in. So
without actually sidetracking off, because Connor, I know you've got stuff to get to, but just on the Blumhouse thing, has anyone seen the new Ouija?
No.
Mike Flanagan's prequel to what was, I think everyone can admit, a very, very disappointing film.
Did not see the original, so.
Well, you didn't miss anything with that.
Okay.
So Mike Flanagan, guy who did Hush and Oculus and Absentia and something else. He's doing Gerald's Game for Netflix at the moment. Really good.
Okay.
Like, it's one of those weird things where they seem to have understood that the first one didn't work. Genuinely worth checking out. Like, it's just, I think it would fit really well in the double bill with T. West House of the Devil.
Okay.
Not as good as that, in my opinion, but it's a proper old-fashioned storytelling with proper actors, adults and kids, but it's just a straight-up ghost story. Okay, it does kind of use its jump scares at points and stuff, but not in that annoying way of Insidious Part 3. You know, yeah, but it just genuinely, like, if you want to watch a straight-up horror film that you're going to just have an interesting story, do everything right that the first one didn't do, genuinely worth watching. I think a lot of people have missed it simply because it's a follow-on to a very poor film. It is connected, but you'd never know. It's set in the same house, but it's set years and years before it. So there's no, if you hated the first one, it has no effect on it whatsoever. Genuinely worth watching. Genuinely.
I'll check it out. No, I mean, I'm obsessed with Ouija boards. I mean, I was just about to suggest, can we do one in here for a podcast? I mean, like, we've got a camera. We could make our own little.
We could do a special live seance edition.
Yeah.
Where we try to summon. Who are we trying to summon? We need to have
Captain
an objective.
Howdy.
Captain Howdy. That's it.
We're still kind of scared of Captain Howdy.
yeah. Let's not.
I don't think you need a Ouija board to get some scary clowns around here.
Oh,
do you know what? There was a party.
clowns.
Do you know? This was driving me mad. There was a party over Halloween, and they were not allowing people in with clown costumes.
Jesus. You see, this is the problem. This whole PC thing.
The reactionary.
It's just. Like, but can I just say one thing, because I think I might have offended people who like craft beer and mustaches. I also like mustaches and craft beer.
After this, we're gonna go get some craft beer.
I know, yeah.
And
twiddle our mustaches.
I don't actually have a mustache.
It's
but
also
I'll
so
get
whoa.
one. Oh, is it?
It's not being very sensitive,
See,
Ali.
I
Come on.
worked straight through. I didn't even realize it's November.
Movember.
But Movember. But I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there.
That's
but
okay.
I because I love the genre of horror so much. I know I keep slurring. I've got gum in my mouth. Sorry. I love the horror genre so much. I want to see it.
I film this month.
Well, we
want to see it get back to its roots.
AFM is over, so I'm going to be able to watch more movies now. But yeah, I don't want it to be constantly like smart and constantly character driven. I want it to be what horror started out as, and like to scare us shitless. Do you know what I mean? I see enough horror, like scrolling down through my Facebook feed and seeing like all of these horrifying videos and looking at the news, and you know, I don't want to keep seeing this in the genre that makes me ecstatically happy. That does not make me happy. That makes me cry for the world. I don't want to cry for the world.
Yeah.
I want to cry from the sleepless nights that hopefully I will have after watching a movie.
It's interesting with I remember just when you're talking about Night of the Living Dead there, and it's sort of but like I remember Toby Hooper said about Texas Chainsaw Massacre that what that film was really about for him was when the hippie generation were going to face the real world, and they were all just going to get slaughtered by the reality of it.
But then he thought it was a very dark comedy as well. You're just watching it going, really, Toby? Like, I get the second one, but
I think it's a comedy.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sympathizing Ali next time.
I mean, no, it is. I mean, after
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a comedy. So you said no.
No, okay.
Maybe
Connor, move on
dark satire.
We're shutting down your microphone.
No, I mean,
fade around.
after, I mean, that first scene, like we talked about last week, which is still one of the most iconic and horrifying scenes, where it's his
I
body's
love the way
shaking.
you always say these things are first scenes, and they're always like
But
about
they're not.
20 minutes into
They
the
are.
film.
They are. Okay, but it's the first
when
thing.
I turned on the fucking movie.
It's the first thing I remember. It's like the thing that stands out to me the most. And but like after that, I mean, come on, him licking his lips, lads. Hilarious.
Like there's
hilarious. No,
there's a dark humor to those things, and even like The Shining, you know what I mean? There's, you know, you'll have your laughing moments in that. I don't know. I think there's
That's
definitely
where you draw the lines.
yeah. No, like there's some of the stuff Jack Nicholson says and does. It's kind of funny how horrifying it is, you know, but it's not your typical funny.
I think the laughing. Yeah.
Like it's not. It doesn't make it a comedy.
But I do think that.
Yeah, how come this isn't under the comedy section in Netflix?
But yeah, like it's like okay, because you're right on that. But I think like for The Shining, it's like anyone particularly who's done any writing or anything like that can understand his very cruel and aggressive things when Wendy comes in and interrupts him, and he's like, "When you hear me tap tap tapping."
I got a little bit sucked into the internet wormhole of Shining theories the other week, right? I'm not not going to bore anyone, right? But
they're great.
I saw this video, okay, right? I saw this video. It wasn't a great video. Some teenager in America put this together, right? But he's talking about the whole, you've always been here, Mr. Torrance. You've always been the caretaker here. He's talking about that. You know, you see the photo at the end, Jack Nicholson is in the 1925 ball and all that stuff. 91. Oh, well, damn. But, right, oh my God. This guy showed this clip. You know the clip at the start where Ullman is walking them through the lounge?
Yeah.
Wait, just Jack on his...
Jack and the family. This is the Colorado lounge.
Yeah,
it was built on an ancient Indian burial ground, blah, 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 whatever. Right? He's walking along and the guy shows video and he goes, did you see that? No, didn't see it. Right? He reversed the video. In the background, there's a caretaker working on a bookshelf and he's wearing a red jacket and blue jeans and he has Jack Nicholson's long hair. It's Jack the caretaker at work in the background. It's undoubtedly him. Like, it's crazy. Of all the theories and things I've seen over the years, I've never heard of that. And I just saw that and I was like, oh my God, that is brilliant. He's just barely in the background, you know.
But he's already there. He hasn't
Yes.
even started the job yet,
Yeah.
and he is already there.
Yeah, because he's always been there.
I freaking love it. I love it.
We'll have to do a special podcast in The Shining.
Yeah.
No, but like, you know, because it's between the book and the film. Like, there's so much you can talk about those things.
That
like,
would need some
Yeah.
proper preparation
I
as
would
well.
happily
Like,
do like a 3 hour, like that book still, like the movie is one thing, the book is another thing. They're both fantastic.
They are both separate entities, though. It's
They-
weird, isn't it? Like,
Yes.
because I
They
still
are.
consider them like no criticism towards either, actually.
Yeah.
Because I love the film absolutely, and I love the
Completely.
book absolutely. But they are actually, even though they share so much, they're still such completely different beasts.
Yeah.
The characters are actually completely different. Like what Jack Nicholson brought is insane. Like they're both fantastic. They're both standalone things, and the topiary will haunt me till the day I die.
So let's just talk a little bit about your movie, Mark. I mean, one of the things, because we're all into movies here, we're all making films. I mean, one of the things I was curious about was, because, you know, I'm thinking myself, okay, I'm going to do another, like, go out and make a film on your own, you know? And what I'm curious about is, because it takes a lot of kind of effort and kind of courage, I suppose, to go, right, I'm going to make this movie. And so what was that moment, or can you remember, from the idea of just going, right, I'm going to do this, and then taking it to that next step of it actually becoming a reality?
Yeah, it's a weird one, because you're right, because I know you did The Disturbed was your second feature. That's one of the ones you did for...
Yeah, like
next to nothing.
€900,
Yeah.
and it was like, it was a point where I had to do it.
But it's a point of frustration, though. It is.
Yeah,
Like, see,
yeah.
like I guess I realized I was a lot older than you when you made your first film, and if I didn't make something soon, because I'd nearly gotten a film called The Nobodies, there was interest in it, and it looked like we were going to get that made, and then that kind of fell apart. And yeah, and I kind of realized if you don't get out there and make something, you just can't, because there was always this argument that until you've proven yourself, you know, how are other people going to know to trust you? And it's the chicken and egg type thing with all these things. So yeah, it literally came down to, it was about August last year, and I was just really frustrated and like kind of sad about the whole thing, and I just knew I was going to have to do something. And I liked the found footage thing, but I knew also I could make it work. I guess the same, because my background for making money is doing sort of corporate type things, and you know, I think anyone who's done videos like that where you have very little resources, you get quite used to knowing what you can or can't achieve with limited resources, you know, and you know you can work quite quickly and what you can get away with, and you know, you can shoot what you need as opposed to having to cover it all completely. But yeah, I literally realized that if I didn't make a film soon, it wasn't going to happen. And then I was faced with the reality of Ireland gets really fucking cold. So I was going to need to shoot it before things went really bad. And I kind of realized, well, that means it's going to have to be done by October this year. And I had a script as a basic idea, but I met up with my lead actress, Elva Trill. She recommended a friend of hers, Tess Aziz, who was my co-producer in the end, but I met her in Starbucks, I think at the end of August, and explained to her that I thought I could make a film in 9 days. And she was like, okay, you're completely insane, but how much money do you have? None. And it's like, what? And it's
Let's
like,
do it.
yeah. And I was like, no, I think I can get X amount, which I won't say until we sell the film, but like it very, very small, a lot smaller than a film board short would be, shall we say. But yeah, and so literally said, yeah, no, I don't even have that money in place yet. And she's like, and when do you hope to start shooting? In about 4 weeks. And she's like, and you have the rest of the cast? No. And do you have anything? No.
but
And
you had the script.
I had the script,
Right.
and I had that just kind of crazy, bizarre determination to do it. But you know, and we did manage to get it together. But the hard thing was with that, you know, everyone looks at you and says, "Are you sure you can do this?" And then it turned out that with the money we had, I could only do it in 5 days instead of 9.
Would you not make a short instead?
See, but no, because I think
that's the thing people say.
People do, and it's like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
It's just, what's the point?
I think that's an important thing, because it was the same for me when I did my film like that. Setting a date and going, I have to do it, because what I did was I booked a house in 2 months' time. And because when you don't do that, it's always this just thing it just won't doesn't have any reality. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's all it needs, really. It's like, it's happening on this date. I think that creates the energy.
The pressure it puts on you is incredible, particularly in those situations, because like if you're creating The Disturbed, you did so much of that on your own as well. You handled so many roles, actually even more than I would have. And like, no one can understand kind of the pressure of that, and it's difficult because you're telling other people you can definitely do this, and inside your head you're going like, fuck, I really hope I can do this. I think I can do this, but there's no guarantees, because for us, we shot 5 days and 4 of those were outside, and as it happened, it didn't rain on any of those days, and it was warm for October. But if we had rained out, we would have been in serious trouble, because we couldn't afford reshoots or anything. But you kind of have to have that bizarre, ballsy, like, we're just going to go for this, because like, there's never going to be the perfect time.
So was that October of this year?
Last year. That was like, we started on October the 23rd, and we shot 4 days within a week then, and we did the last day, I think, the first week in November.
And how long were your days?
14 or 15 hours.
And how many pages were you shooting per day?
We were shooting on average 21 pages of script.
Damn.
Which, again, no, like, if you've seen the film, because we actually, like, for each scene we moved, which is about every half a page or 3/4 of a page, we moved to a different location. What? So, this is awesome. The pressure was... It was incredible, but now the actors really, without them it wouldn't have worked, and we had a really good sound crew, because that was the big thing that I knew we were going to have to get. But you can't, like, because I had post-traumatic stress for months after that, like, bizarre shit, waking up in the middle of the night, like, drenched in sweat. Kat, my girlfriend, would ask to go to, she's going to the toilet in the middle of the night. I was like, get a torch, make sure you bring it to, like, I can't tell you, like, even a year later, I'm still actually tired and, like, emotionally worn out from that whole experience. It's just... It takes more energy than you could ever imagine, and yet I'm still trying to figure out how can I just start the next one.
I was the same after we made The Light of Day, the film we made with Filmbase a couple of years ago, a feature, and post-traumatic stress. That's what it was like. It was like, I remember a week or two after waking up in the middle of the night, and like, oh God, what time are we shooting?
Exactly. Yeah, what if I forgot?
There's no script for today. I don't understand.
Time.
Yeah, it's crazy. You just get so immersed in it.
I always hear people calling my name. That's the worst thing. I wake up and I'm like, yes. Like, no.
Action. But Mark, so did you wear a couple of hats in this production? Did you do just directing, or were you doing anything else?
I wore the hat, the jacket, the socks.
It was very cold time of year.
You bought the T-shirt.
Yeah, no, look, it's one of those things, because it can sound when you list off all those things like it was just a one-man show, and it wasn't, obviously, because we had incredible cast, incredible crew, a great co-producer who helped me all these things, and just people, like extras who came out. But from my side of things, it was director, writer, editor, co-producer, colorist, and after that, marketing, distribution, poster designer, DCP creator.
Nice.
Like,
are you on the end credits?
Like, but it's one of those things, because it's just when you don't have the money, it's a really hard one, because like there are people who say they do it for you for a couple of €100, but they're never going to put that amount of hours and effort into it that you're going to put in, which is hard, because because you don't have the experience in it, it's going to take you way longer to do than someone who really knows their stuff. But it's just, you can't bank on it, and when you put so much effort in to get this far, the fear of it falling apart because someone else, like, even as an editor, like if I gave someone €500 or even $1,000 to edit a film, a feature film takes so much longer than that. It's not going to cover their time properly, and unless you have someone who is kind of on the same level as you, who sees the real potential and is willing to commit, that's difficult. And
are they going to be able to put in the hours? I only had a friend of me and Connor's who just finished shooting a film asking me recently, about getting that process going, about getting an editor for his film on a low budget, and it's, we were kind of brainstorming on how do we get an editor to spend that amount of time on the film.
You can't have someone who's only going to do 2 or 3 hours when they get a bit of time here or there, because it's a very, very tricky one. I think it's Connor, you've edited all your films as well, haven't you? Or
yeah, except one, but but yeah, mostly I do it myself. Like, I enjoy it. It's nearly like after you've gone through the madness of the filming, it's sort of, there's something relaxing about sitting there with the footage and cutting it together.
I think it's a great way to learn as well about what you're doing as a director. oh, I did that really well, I'll do that again, oh, I'll never do that again. You know, like you're basically just learning so much from it. And I think Kevin Smith, he basically says, you know, if you've written it, it's born in your heart, like, you know, and then you go out and you shoot it and you direct it and you make it, then how could you possibly hand that over to someone else? It's like having a kid and then giving it to someone else, going, here, you raise it, you know. But
which is an option if you've chosen that. That's a
but saying that, you know, I have worked on a couple of projects recently where, you know, I've written it, shot it, and handed it over to another editor, and then just gotten the benefit of that fresh pair of eyes.
That's
on the
what
project.
I'm wondering, because like, of course, like when we edit our own stuff, we edit exactly how we thought it should be, but there's no chance for someone to look at it new and maybe find something. It's a difficult one because there's a danger that they'll do something and you'll go back and make them change it all to the way you wanted, but there is that chance that they see something that
if you have a good editor who's not just someone who knows how to use
I think
the
that's
software.
the difference.
Yeah, and understands
Yeah, totally. Like I've worked with a good editor this year, and it was unbelievable. Like literally, they made the program, you know, and just their attention to just music and like, do you know what I mean?
It's like another director coming on board.
Totally,
Like.
it transformed the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't something I directed, but it was really interesting. I suddenly saw the benefit of what somebody can bring.
That happened with a short I did maybe last year, and it's such a short period of time that I wasn't going to be able to edit it. This other guy was editing for it who'd edited something else that I was working on before, and I was like, yes, this is why you have another editor. You know, you don't, maybe sometimes you just have to edit your own thing, or you don't have the budget for someone else. But if you can, if they're really good at what they do, they'll make those decisions, they'll collaborate with you, you know. And then I've edited stuff for other directors and they've sat down with me, and I've kind of had that feeling before where you're like, what's the point with the director sitting in with me? It's like he's almost pulling my strings, you know. But then, you know, he might give you really good directions, you know, or you might be able to make calls that he's too precious to make or whatever, you know. So it's a good collaboration when it's
it is a collaboration.
Yeah.
But it's all those roles, though, isn't it? Like, it's the problem with low budget, because, again, on ours, it was just so bonkers. We didn't have a first AD. We didn't have a DOP. That was, you know, me or the actors, which is even crazier. But, like, you know, making short films, especially with whether it's friends or other people on a low budget, you tend to have to sacrifice a lot of these roles. Or you have people stepping into a role, even like continuity, who isn't a professional person of that. And so that, you know, that's fine and it's helpful. But it was only when I did the short film with the Lear a couple of years ago that I had a professional first AD come on, and it is incredible to have just for me as a director, that's the most enjoyable time I've ever had on set, because it took so much pressure off me to have people who can actually manage these things. So all those little roles are actually so incredibly important if you can get someone to do it. You
totally. Ali's laughing there at the mention of continuity, and I think I know why. We worked with the greatest continuity person.
Your cotton socks.
What happened?
So we'd go like, was the door open or closed in that shot? Why are you asking me?
At one point, do you remember she literally said, "You can fix that in post"?
Yeah.
Everyone just stopped what they were doing and just slowly turned to look at her. But in fairness to her, like, she was in IDT at the time. I think she was only in her first or second year.
You had one job, Phil, though, you know?
Because we didn't have continuity to begin with, because as always, we're like, fuck, continuity's going to slow us down. And then we're like, no, wait, seriously, we need continuity. And she, like...
Sometimes just for a laugh, we'd go, hey... So, you know, it was the window open or closed or whatever, and it would just...
What window?
Yeah.
Do you know, it's a funny one, though, as well, because continuity that was one that scared us a lot, especially when you're working very quickly, because it can really undo you in an edit. Yeah. Sometimes. Not a lot of the time you get away with it. If the scene is working, you know, people shouldn't be noticing too much.
I've seen funny things.
You
get away with
because our costume person wasn't on set on day 3 for us, and my lead actress, so they were in the same outfit as the previous day, the same day in the film, and... she had kind of 2 types of jackets, but she put them on the other way. So the other one was on the outside. Okay. And only at the end of it did we realise she'd shot the whole thing. that way. But thank God she remembered and actually mentioned to me and wasn't too afraid to. And so you'll notice in Crone Wood there's a little bit where Elva crosses a river and takes off her 2 jackets just to wet down her arms with the water just to freshen herself up and puts the jackets back on the other way. And that was our way of fixing it. But it's those kind of things. You're trying to make it as like that's a slightly unnecessary moment, but it's there are ways around it. Yeah.
I know in when they were doing the Evil Dead 2, what they because there was so much blood on Bruce Campbell, they just used to shoot these scenes of him just washing his face or just so it would so they knew in the next scene it didn't matter whatever way the blood
and so it sounds like an amazing process for getting your film made, like August to October. It's really inspirational to filmmakers, and it kind of just makes me want to go out and make something, How did the Horrorthon screening come about, and how did it go down?
Yeah, no, it's a funny one, because I do think everyone should go and make their film. I think, Connor, you would agree with that as well.
I'm still trying to motivate myself to get out and do another one.
There's anyone who's made one will not deny it's an incredibly hard process, and it does take a huge amount of determination. But then I guess we're all in this because of that sort of passion, and if it was that easy, everyone would do it. The Horrorthon thing, literally, submitted it. I've been going to the Horrorthon for I don't know how many years, probably an embarrassing amount.
So that's where I first met
10.
Mark back in the horror club.
Yeah, but I remember that was actually the earlier years I was coming was when Dead Meat was having a test screening upstairs in the IFI. Yeah, so it's 10 to 12 or 13 or God knows how many years. But yeah, so it was what you've seen all these great films there. That's where I saw The Thing on the big screen, The Wicker Man, Aliens. We've had great guests over the years. So it was an important place for me. And the idea of screening your film for the first time to the public there was really great. And we got Screen 3, because it was a really good year and it was very busy this year, but we were originally given Screen 3, which is the smallest in the IFI, which, it's a nice little screen, but it is a little screen, and so it's a little bit disappointing.
The front room, I call it.
Yeah, it is. Like it's nice in a way, but it's not grand, shall we say? It's a 62-seater, but we managed to sell that out quite quickly, and so the IFI bumped us up to Screen 1, which was really, really great because that is the main screen. We've seen Francois Truffaut films up there, and Apocalypse Now, and there's Crone Wood, But no, so it was incredible, and it was great to be able to let the public kind of see it and see genuine reactions from people, because it's a hard thing when you're making a film on a very limited budget. You don't want to apologize for those limitations, but it is hard to compete with not having 20 days even to shoot it. Again, shooting 20 pages of dialogue in a day is bonkers. We had action as well in Crone Wood. It's not like it's just talking. So you don't want to apologize for those things, but just even seeing your film being shown with these other ones and actually just being measured on the same level is, from a filmmaking point of view, a great achievement. You know what I mean? So no, it was wonderful, and hopefully, we get it sold and put out there to more.
And Crone Wood, what's next for the film, or how can we support it or get to see it again?
Well, give me money to make my second one. No, at the moment, it's trying to get the sales agent. So that's the next big stage that's kind of tricky. Because again, normally you'd have say proper producers that's not supposed to be against my co-producer or me on it, but
more resources.
It's our first time people who've experienced and they have those connections. And it's actually quite difficult just to even get a sales agent to actually watch, because there's so many people making so much content, and that's no one's fault. It's the same way that it's very hard to apply to producers with scripts, because they've blocked it off that unless you have an agent, they're not going to read stuff, just because there's so many people out there who can send it in, and that's completely fair from their point of view, because they would just be inundated with thousands of things. So really the challenge is getting your head above the parapet and just having someone give you the time. We have an extra challenge because Crone Wood is a found footage film, and it's kind of not in vogue at the moment, I think it's probably fair to say. So we completely believe in the film. I think if you watch it, you'll enjoy it, but definitely there's a slight bias on that way of people kind of going, oh, I'm not sure about that, and if they can find any reason, it's like a script, if you can find any reason not to watch it because you've got a pile of 20 on your desk, people will use any they can, so it's just a matter of pushing through on that. I got an email on Friday from an American sales agent who's kind of curious, and we'll see, but that's the next big thing is to try and get that out to just make way so I can move on to the next one. I don't want to spend the next year or two fighting to get this one out there. It's got to be, we keep rolling on.
That's
awesome
the unfortunate
sauce.
thing about the film industry is the moss that catches the worm.
Trying to get the momentum.
The whatever the thing.
The Rolling Stone.
It's the moss that catches the worm.
The Rolling Stone crushes the worms.
Like
the worm's moss.
It is. If you fall out of it. Like, I mean, I worked in film production, and then I moved to LA, and I worked in production for a couple of months, and was really lucky. And now I've moved out of it, and I'm like, I'm like so far out of it right now, and all I want to do is get back into it. So like, you're right. It's like you've made a movie. You need to like, while the iron is hot. Is that a saying?
You gotta kick while that iron is hot. You gotta kick that worm in the balls.
Yeah. Like you
better iron your clothes
you
while
better
the iron
iron
is
your
hot.
clothes. Yeah, you better like keep it going, because as soon as that, I'm so bad with
Momentum.
these things. Momentum, thank you. runs out, you're back to square one, and it's so unfortunate that's the way it happens. That's why you're still tired, because you've never stopped.
No,
it's a never stopping.
Just like Justin Bieber.
Industry. I've literally turned to Trump here with all these really bad words.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Bigly.
What else, Connor?
So, did people see any other films? What have you got on your list there?
I sat around at home because I was very sick, which is why I didn't see your film, which I apologize for, because I also had a ticket for the Horrorthon for Taryn Barker, friend of mine, Zoe Kavanagh's film, which sadly I was too sick to go to.
Actually, just before you go on, can you give a little shout out to Zoe on that, because Zoe had like the same slot. It was at 11:30 on Saturday night, and she was in Screen, because again she was originally Screen 2 and she sold that out very quickly, but she packed Screen 1 on that Saturday. It was like way over 200 seats full. It was an incredible crowd that roared, and there
really
seemed to be a
happy to
great
hear
reaction
that,
to the film. So like,
Zoe.
big congratulations, because I know she worked very hard.
She
on
poured her
that
heart
film
and
as
soul
well.
into that movie, you know, and she was like, you know, writer, director, editor, music, all sorts on that film. And you know, it's a big movie. It's a big superhero action thriller horror movie. You know what I mean? Like that's not no easy feat. Like so, I was really happy for her, and I was devastated that I didn't make it to it, but I will see it soon. But I stayed at home and I watched Rose Red based on the recommendations of you guys, and it was good. It was definitely it was definitely good. Stephen King vibe off it. You know, Nancy Travis I thought her performance was a bit off.
Wait. Who is she?
She's the lead in
The blonde
curly hair. Psychic. Yeah, but I love the premise of the film. There was definitely some Carrie stuff going on there with the raining stones. But one of the things that really kind of took me by surprise in it, because I was about halfway through watching this like 6-hour movie or whatever, and I was like looking up some of the actors on IMDb in one of the breaks, and I saw Matt Ross was in the film. I think his name's Matt Ross, and I recognized his picture on IMDb, and I was like, who is he in the film?
McPoyle.
He plays McPoyle. Did you say that's Jimmy Simpson who plays McPoyle? He was also in Westworld at the moment.
Yes, he is.
Westworld's amazing if anyone hasn't seen it, but it's really brilliant. But Matt Ross plays Emery.
Yes.
He's the guy with the glasses. He's the heavy guy. He's in Silicon Valley. And he just made his writing and directing debut with Captain Fantastic. Has anyone seen Captain Fantastic?
That was fantastic.
That was a brilliant film.
That's an incredible film.
So the guy who wrote and directed that movie was Emery from Rose Red.
Bizarre.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know he did that.
Isn't that crazy?
I need to meet him and get him to sign my Rose Red.
What a legend.
When I first saw the first episode of Silicon Valley, I flipped my shit because I was like, it's Emery.
Are you serious? No way.
Because that's the only person. That's the only time I've seen him.
I'd never recognize him.
And I was like, he's really skinny.
Yeah.
Sorry, do not mean to be offensive.
He's like, but he's like a slick business guy.
Yeah.
He's ruthless.
Yeah.
Like in Stephen King's movie, he's much different.
He lives in his mom's basement. So I'm really happy for him. That's amazing. I didn't know he'd done that. I knew he was killing it in Silicon Valley. But anyway, Rose Red.
Would you recommend me to see Rose Red?
Yeah, check it out.
Okay.
Check it out. You know, it's the great thing about it is it's a film about loads of different types of psychics, which I think is the really unique selling point about it. You know, and I don't want to kind of spoil anything else, but
it does.
Julian, sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
I was going to say Julian Sands is in it, and he's British and very.
He's very good.
Okay.
He's very good.
Well, he's very Julian Sands.
Yeah.
No, but it does. You know, it's like a lot of those adaptations. First part's definitely the best part. Second part drifts a bit, but it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, and it is like one of those kind of Stephen King TV movie quality type of things, but it's still Stephen King's story. You know what I mean?
Think, like, even the music, like a theme from A Summer Place, like it's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's just genius. And there's like some of the prosthetics in it and some of the makeup, like it is. it is a bit cheap, yeah, but it's better than any CGI like mountain of zombies falling down on top of you.
I agree.
It's really good.
Two other films I watched, rewatched. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That's a lot of fun.
That's great.
I've probably seen that movie about 5 times, and it still gets me every time. When that guy runs into the wood chipper, and he looks around, and he's holding his legs, oh my god! And then when they're running from the bees, and the guy impales himself on the branch, I just crack up laughing.
It's fantastic.
Or it's like they've got her friend. It's like, where is she? It's like, I don't know, but I think they were eating her face. And in horror comedy, I also watched for the second time, and this time I much preferred it, was What We Do in the Shadows. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was better the second time, and it's great. Yeah, just really.
They're making a sequel, I think, and a TV series.
Oh, that's what I heard. I heard
it's a
they're
TV
making
series,
a
I
TV
heard.
series.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I love it.
That is genius, that movie. And actually, when we were doing The Light of Day, Simon, shout out to Simon sent me the trailer for What We Do in the Shadows, and he was like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
Like, someone else is actually doing a mockumentary vampire film.
Exactly.
And then, like, the two of us watched it, like, at the reception desk in Film Base,
No way.
and we were like, this looks amazing.
Yeah,
and, like, it's phenomenal.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah. We were in production on a mockumentary about a film crew making a vampire movie. So we were like, oh yeah, great. You know, we're doing something really like unique and stuff. And then this trailer comes out. It's like, oh my god, that looks amazing. Damn then.
Fantastic. I love that movie.
But it's so good.
The film I watched that we were talking about last time was The Legend of Hell House.
Oh yeah,
which was in Mark's top 5, and I have to say is amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it when I get home.
I'm so relieved when you said that, because it's just that awful fear, you know, when you recommend something, but I'm delighted you liked it.
It's one of those films I can't believe I haven't seen, and I started watching it again the next day.
Wow.
It's a brilliant film, and it's brilliantly shot, like the way it's filmed, the actors, also the actress in it, on a side note, is the girl from The Innocents, the little girl.
No way.
Pamela Franklin.
Get out.
The one who's attacked by the cat?
The one who's the kind of younger of the two women. Yeah. And it reminded me, because then I was looking her up on IMDb, and she was also in this other film called And Soon the Darkness. I don't know if I've seen it, but it's another really good film.
Yeah.
But Legend of Hell House, I can't recommend that film enough.
It's kind of everything. Like, if someone has asked you to describe what you think a good horror film is, it just kind of has it all, doesn't it? Like,
but it's also, I started watching it at night, and it's so rare to find a film these days that does actually put you on edge.
No, it does. It gets under,
yeah.
and I'm not even quite sure why, and that's why I've watched it a few times with that kind of interest. It just gets under your skin, and it's just the tone and the way the pacing that just carries through it.
And I think as well, sometimes with those old films, you're not sure how far they're going to go, you know?
Yeah.
And I think one of the first scenes when the ghostly activity starts, it's quite scary.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what's weird? Because, like, again, like, say, for haunted house films and everything, there's not much you haven't seen done in a film. But when it's done right and the tone in the film is right, like, a cup moving across the table can actually be very creepy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be cheesy or, oh, that's not exciting. Like, it's just, if done in that right way, everyone, and if the actors react in a way, there's something just hits you kind of going, well, that's pretty disturbing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It is, because, like, imagine if you were just in your kitchen, right? And you were just, cooking some pancakes or whatever. And then all of a sudden, the, like, cupboard door is just open in front of you. I don't give a shite. Y'all are going to run to your sitting room screaming. That's
the sitting room out of the house and down.
It's like, we're safe in the sitting room. Everyone knows ghosts can't get into the sitting room.
Have you not seen poltergeists go towards the TV, towards it? Yeah, like it's those little tiny things. Like, everyone's like, "Duh, they're so cute." It's like, no, that's actually horrifying. Like, if I was cooking and something opened, or like a cup moved across, or something fell, the first place my mind is going to go is at the devil's in the house.
Yeah, the other one from that, I don't know if you've seen The Entity.
I have that here, Entity ? Should I watch The Entity? It's been on my watch list for ages.
Yeah. I mean, it's Barbara Hershey's the actress in it.
Okay.
Who also appears in Insidious.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's a callback to her in those movies.
Right.
But The Entity is another one that it actually does pack a punch. Like, I don't want to say too much about it if you're going to watch it, but it's definitely worth a watch.
I've had it
she's
on my
brilliant.
list. I actually
like
have
she's
it at
amazing
home.
in it.
She's a
I've been
great
meaning to watch
actress.
it for ages, and it was actually also, I mentioned on the last podcast that Martin Scorsese top 11 scariest movies of all time. It's on that, so that's why I have it.
I need to see this list.
It's a good list. You know, it has the changing on it, which I know Mark gave you earlier on DVD. You know what else I watched that you guys mentioned last podcast? Carnival of Souls.
Oh yeah.
I watched that, and I had just after you guys mentioned it, I read an article online, probably on like No Film School or something like that, all about how so many modern horror films and TV have been influenced by it. So I was like, oh, I'll give this thing a watch. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes long or something. And it's really good. And what it reminded me of a lot, and now this would have come out before, but it reminded me a lot of the original Twilight Zone, the Rod Serling series. It reminds me of like the hitchhiker kind of episodes.
The plot is nearly like
it's very like a Twilight Zone
yeah.
episode, and then the ending very like Jacob's Ladder.
Right.
Does anyone remember Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah, Tim Robbins.
Yeah, the ending was just, it seemed very like it, but there's just some great scary moments in it, you know, because it's just a guy with white face makeup following this woman around. Why is that scary? I don't know, but they made it terrifying. Like, you know that scene where she's like, it's as if she's talking to a psychiatrist, but the chair is turned around facing away from her, and she's like, doctor, I just don't know what's going on. I don't know. And you're like, it's the guy. He's going to turn around. He's going to be in the chair. 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 Then he turns around and it's him. And you're like, yeah, there he is. But then he gives her this weird smile, and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Or you know that scene when she's trying to talk to people?
Yeah.
And
no one can see her. That's very Twilight Zone as well.
Yeah.
There's an episode, this mannequin episode of the Twilight Zone that's very like that as well.
They said that film influenced Night of the Living Dead a lot as well, and you can kind of feel. I mean, they're both quite low budget, black and white.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But again, it's understanding that simplicity, the way that like your man in Carnival of Souls is so creepy, but even the zombies in Night of the Living Dead, like it is just people, pale people, sort of hovering there, and the same approach used in Dead Meat, like that classic sort of zombie thing. Like it's the lack of movement makes them much scarier. We're more freaked out by people who aren't behaving in a very emotive way because you can't understand that, you can't interpret it, you don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
That's why Slenderman's scary.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the trailer for the HBO documentary Beware Slenderman?
Has Slenderman ever been made into a film? Or
No, it's
Sinister kind of tapped into
yeah.
it a little bit.
There apparently, actually, because I saw someone post on Twitter, apparently there are 2 Slenderman films on the way, but they've got to be low budget ones, because the reason they haven't been made is because of the creepypasta online bit. For anyone who isn't aware, creepypasta is kind of the modern day urban legend stuff where people create stories on the internet, but people contribute to and add to.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's no clear ownership. So there's 2 or 3 people who claim they created Slenderman, but they're all at different times and had different elements. So it's something that Hollywood can't actually buy, because if they could, they'd churn them out. So the only one, the documentary from HBO is based on those, those 2 girls who tried to kill their friend, claiming they were sacrificing her to Slenderman.
All right.
That is funny, because I made a little short like about 2 months ago about, it was a Snapchat thing, but the Splat Chat, but the
Over 1 million views?
Is that available online anywhere?
3 million.
Fuck.
Oh,
Can that be seen online anywhere?
Yeah.
Where?
It's
Crypt TV,
on
isn't
Crypt TV, yeah.
On Facebook and stuff.
But what I thought was funny is I just made the person who was sending the messages called it was like Evil Spirit 13 or something like this, okay? And then I was reading the comments, and someone's like, oh my God, I've heard of Evil Spirit 13. Like, and it's weird how online a thing can be kind of just become a...
It just gathers moss.
Yeah.
Some sort of momentum.
Don't count your irons until they're hot. But no, but that's that lovely idea though. If you create something and then this kind of mythos grows from it, but I hope you got.
I'll take that. I'll take that backstory.
It's like Evil Spirit 13. That's the mythology behind it. Evil Spirit 13. Yeah. It's
But
totally
we need
intentional.
more mythology. We need that's why The Exorcist and Max Shrek scared the shite out of people. Is all of this word of mouth. And now we don't need to actually talk to people. We can just post a comment ooh, we need this. I think we should create something, but we're just after giving it away. But we should create something that literally scares the living shit out of people. But I would like that very much. I could die happy knowing that
you've contributed some horror to the world.
Horrified.
But it is the internet is that way though. It is that thing. If you could create something whether it's a small found footage piece or just even a creepy video, and you just post it up on the internet completely anonymous, and you just leave it there with the hope that someone finds it. And it's very hard. But you'd have to point. But that is where this stuff grows. It's modern day.
I think even Connor would some of your inspiration for making these short 1 minute things is like that movie Selfie, that thing.
Oh yeah,
like that's just so simple. That little horror movie online, it's like 1 minute long. It's just it's a masterclass in misdirection.
Yeah,
you know, you're looking over.
I've seen it a few times, and every time I watch it, I still
makes you want to jump out of your skin because it just plays with your.
Is this where the ones behind her in the corridor?
It's not lights out, but it's a very similar concept where it's a one trick thing where she's taking selfies and she can see every time she takes it, she can see a shadow behind her. It is,
and it gets closer with each one she takes, and then you're looking for it to get closer, but then she takes another one and he's in a different position to where you thought he was going to be, and it scares the crap out of you. But it gathered lots of sand as it rolled through the desert, and the hourglass was full of views of the internet.
It's an interesting one though, because say like Lights Out, it's a perfect example of that, because that's where like Hollywood are, when they see these things, and I'm sure Selfie's similar, like people go like that's great and it gets millions of views, and so they decide they want to make the film. But it's a big problem, and like I was saying earlier on about, you know, why bother making a short, make a feature, turning those kind of, even if you get this great one concept, like I think Lights Out's a perfect example of that. It's not a bad film by any means, but it is a concept stretched to its limits. It's just not enough of a story. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a great scare for one scare, but you can't lean on it for the whole film. Say the problem with the original Ouija film as well had, like, you know, you can have a great scary scene with a Ouija board, but you're not going to have 90 minutes of scary scenes with the Ouija. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to open it up to bigger.
Since we're all podcasting, I'm getting my podcast on right now. But no, there was one thing that I have yet to check out for Halloween. I only discovered it recently. Does anyone listen to the podcast Snap Judgment?
Can I just be honest? I've never listened to a podcast. I didn't even listen to our last episode because I was too busy.
Don't worry, we all listened to the entirety of the last one, so it's okay.
But I'm going to listen to them both in a row, binge listen.
But yeah, next time you need a horror movie recommendation, you might just listen over the last episode or two, and you know. But Snap Judgment is this brilliant podcast from the States, and it's basically just real people telling their stories about extraordinary things that have happened in their lives, set to music and sound design, so it makes them really cinematic. So these are like, it's like the stories that are real are scripted essentially. But it's just really atmospheric. It's really brilliant. But they have done some Halloween specials this year. They've done like 4 spooktacular specials where it's real people telling these spooky stories from their lives set to horror type sound design. So I just highly recommend checking it out for everyone. Snap Judgment.
Though. And like I was saying in our real horror show chat, we should also do what's that TV show called? Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that from back in the day? Yeah. We could do something like that where, I mean, like, I've got a bunch of horror comics. Everyone has horror comics. We could, like, actually start telling, like,
should reenact
ghost stories.
The
like,
Exorcist.
No, but, like, we could start telling actual ghost stories, like, and like Conor was saying, like, set it to music, because that's what people did back in the day before everyone had a TV in their homes. And if you
we could have a special episode where we tell her.
Where Conor sits around an open fire.
Get the
or the sound effect,
because it's Christmas time.
The sound effect of a fire.
Like, but it would just be interesting, I think, to see if we can scare each other silly in this, because we're in a basement, lads. There's a crypt beside us, basically. Like it would be quite interesting.
Okay,
if we do it at midnight.
Put that on the agenda.
Yeah.
No, don't put that.
We don't want that on the agenda.
Any other movies that people watched?
I know we're probably running short on time, but actually there's 1 or 2 I want to give a shout out. I didn't see anything that amazing over kind of Halloween, but definitely one I really liked, which Conor was talking to you earlier on about, Lake Mungo. It's on Shudder, but I'm sure you find it in a few other kind of VOD places. Found footage film, but like a mockumentary. But a mockumentary makes it sound like it's kind of a joke. It's just the
thing. It's basically, if I remember correctly, it's set up like you're watching a documentary. Like
completely.
Not in the sense of
opening
found
credits,
footage.
everything. It is just a documentary for an hour and a half, and it is about a family where a daughter has passed, and it's about a family dealing with that. But they're also faced with the reality that strange things have started to happen, and in photos and stuff, when they've looked in the background, they appear to have found what looks like their now passed daughter is appearing in these photos, and they start to wonder if there's a reason that she's unhappy, and they start delving into her past. But it's done in a completely real way, and it's very, very unnerving and unsettling, and it actually really deals with grief in a very kind of intelligent way as well. So definitely, I would say, we're watching, really well acted as well, actually, and a very hard type of film to pull off, but they do. Give it a chance. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes to kind of get into it. But when those photos start turning up, I guarantee you chills.
Lake Mungo.
Lake Mungo, yeah. It's an Australian one.
Is it this year? It was released this year?
No, I think it was maybe 2014 or something like that.
Amazing.
And then just another shout out to a fascinating one I found on Shudder called Shakma. Has anyone seen that?
No.
A killer baboon film. Shakma. So Shakma basically involves, you've pretty much gotten it already. Like it's in a lab where they're testing on baboons. I can't even remember quite why or what, but Shakma got a particular dosage of something that wasn't good. But at the same time, the guys who work there have decided they're going to play some kind of a role-playing game, but they're going to use the office instead of a board, and they've got walkie-talkies, and so they're going to be moving through rooms and doing different things. And of course, there's a killer baboon on the loose, and no one believes it. But it's everything you expect it to be. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, yes. If that sounds terrible, it is everything. But a bit of fun. I think we're checking out if you're Shakma.
Awesome.
And Shakma is the name of the baboon.
It's the greatest killer baboon film ever. And actually, just as we were talking briefly earlier on, best killer giant pig film, Razorback. Russell Mulcahy's classic Razorback. Watch it. The guy who directed Highlander. Really, really good film. Beautifully shot, and like a ton better than you'd expect when you hear it's the best giant killer pig film.
Is it the same DOP as Highlander?
I don't know actually if it is or not. It could well be, but it looks incredible, and like there's the greatest catchphrase there was like Razorbacks have two states of being: dangerous and dead.
And when was it made?
Oh, I think it was like when was Highlander? Was that 87 or something like that? It was a couple of years before that. I think early 80s.
Wow.
But really striking visually.
So are we talking practical big giant puppet animatronic pig?
There is. The pig actually looks pretty good in it. You don't see him a huge amount.
How big are we talking here?
That's my question.
Guys, watch it, but I would say fucking big.
I have relatives that own a farm, so I know what a big pig looks like. So
no.
I'm thinking of a big pig. Are we talking about like a super normal?
No, we are Razorbacks are real pigs. Like they are kind of wild feral pigs they have in Australia. But this is
extra big.
We're talking about the size of a car.
We're talking like kind of 9 to 12 feet tall.
I love it.
Basically, actually, and it makes sounds a little bit like that too, but well worth watching.
What was did anyone see the giant killer rabbit film?
Night of the Lepus.
Yeah, Night of the Lepus.
How have I not heard of it?
It's like Jaws.
Yeah.
But with killer rabbits.
But they have their little model village, and they actually shoot just lovely, cute, adorable rabbits running and hopping in slow motion down the streetscape with scary music, and it's the most not intimidating thing you could ever see.
Yeah.
That and Slugs is another one, actually, if we're on the animal buzz, that it's a quite kind of fun, gory sort of one to watch.
See, I never go in for those type of horror films because I'm just going to laugh. I don't want to laugh.
No, absolutely, yeah. Like
I want to be scared.
They're a certain type of film.
Yeah. But I did love Cujo, but that's because
I didn't like Cujo.
Oh, I love Cujo.
I thought it was just I just thought nothing happened in it.
Do you not find
it was
it
just
intense?
a dog. It was literally just a dog.
But it's a dog.
It's a scary
dog. It's a dog.
It's a big, beautiful dog that goes rabied.
I like it.
I thought it was a
It's
bad film.
fantastic.
I'm the minority
He's
here.
so drooling. Like he
bad.
looks fucking messed up.
I saw Turner and Hooch for the first time.
That was brilliant.
Oh my god, the end.
The first time, that's
a
heartbreaking.
brilliant movie.
Oh my god.
That is, and no amount of puppies make up for that.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, can we change the tone because The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. That's another great movie.
Here's a movie. Werewolf Cop. Did anyone see Werewolf Cop? No. I'm just making stuff up. No, I'm just free associating.
You're right. There's some new kind of one.
I think it's like a Canadian film or something.
Yeah.
Werewolf Cop. The thing about Werewolf Cop had the coolest poster ever. Really, really beautiful.
Kind of classic 80s
so kind of like we
type
were
one,
talking about earlier. Yeah, really beautiful hand-drawn poster. Terrible film. Terrible film. Yeah, it's really, really disappointing. Don't watch it.
We saw in LA. That was actually really good.
Oh, that was Sting.
Or Stung?
Sting. Oh, Stung. Stung.
Wasp,
Stung. It was a giant wasp film.
It's Stung. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure it's Stung.
It was really good. And then I saw another movie in that same theater, which is shout out to that theater. It's called the Silent Theater, and it is haunted. Just so y'all know, some man went in and killed a candy lady because she wouldn't go out with him.
Oh shit!
But there was another movie that I saw there. I can't remember what it's called, but it's about werewolves. It was made in 2015. It was like an old man moves to an old folks' home, or like a Florida, old person thing. I've lost.
I'm not
my
helping
words.
you out here. It's gonna leave you.
Just the blank stare.
So people write in on the back of a postcard. But,
well, can I say one thing that I
am not going to keep turning this microphone.
I'm sorry. Hello. So because I was working like insane hours the last 3 weeks basically, there was a couple of hours every here and there, like 1 hour every 3 days, where I'd get to not do work for like maybe half an hour. And so I'd watch an episode of American Horror Story because I have been following that. And did you guys ever watch?
I've seen episode 1 of season 1 and episode 1 of the Lady Gaga season.
Says it all, really.
The Lady Gaga season has just gone up on what's that thing called, Netflix, and like I'm so bad today. I was like, I'm so tired. I'm like not making any sense. But it's actually a really, really good season. Like it has so many that's words. What's
so
that
many
word?
episodes.
Rooms.
Homages.
In the hotel.
Thank you. Homages. That's
yeah.
the word. To so many different. I thought it was a great season, and apparently this next season is actually proper scary. It's really violent. There's great soundtrack to it. It's basically like, I'm not going to say it's a John Carpenter TV series because that's sacrilegious. Yeah, I know.
And not true.
And not true. It is not true, but it's really good. It's got ghosts, it's got vampires, it's got zombies, it's amazing. Like it's just really interesting. It's not scary, but it is entertaining and graphic. It's very graphic. A lot of blood, a lot of throat slitting.
Nice.
It's great. And I like the ghost aspect of it. That's my favorite.
Me too.
I like the Gaga aspect of it.
What I like about it is that it's a different story each season, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's the same actors playing different characters in a different story each season. So could you technically, if you'd never seen the first season, could you just start watching?
Oh, yeah,
Really? I like that. I like that
This is
about
the
it.
first season where they did a crossover.
Yeah.
So like the first season was the murder house, which was
So they're just building this universe, like, really, aren't they? If they're able to cross over into the others.
This is the only first season where they started to cross over. I don't think. I mean, hopefully, they crossed over a little bit with Coven, which was the worst thing ever. It was basically like, it was just girls moaning for like 10 episodes. It was awful. It was really awful. And then the second season was Asylum, which is really good because I love mental institutions in regards to horror. That scares me.
Except for The Ward.
The Ward.
John Carpenter's last film. Sorry, John.
That's,
if you're listening.
Yes, I had to turn that off. Is that at the start of that? Is there two people having the ride up in the?
I've blocked most of it from my
horror
memory.
film.
No,
Amber
I did.
Heard.
I had to turn it off. I remember that because I was sorry. I'm sorry, John, but I did have to turn your movie off. Yeah, no, I did.
Because he's been listening for the past 2 hours.
Our first guest, John Carpenter.
But hey, who was at John Carpenter?
I was at
Now,
John
that
Carpenter.
was class.
Wow. Were
Some
you
of us
guys
are too
not?
broke.
Some of us.
Brilliant.
That was amazing, I have to
Oh
say.
my god. What were your highlights of the night? He played the hits.
Like, he played, like, Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh my
Could
God.
not stop humming that.
That was brilliant.
He opened with Escape from New York, right? I think. Was that the...
Yeah, he did,
that was the first one. Like, that was brilliant.
Oh, and he closed with Christine. That moment when, because basically he had this great setup where he had his band on stage playing the music of all his films, but then he had clips from the films playing in the background on a big screen, and they were kind of cut to the music. So it was a nice experience. It was like seeing all the best bits of all his films. But when he started playing Christine, it was like, oh, where's the clip from the movie? But then when the song kicked in, it was that cool shot from Christine where the light's shining at the lens and it has the lens flares. It was so cool. I went home and watched Christine afterwards. It was so cool.
Amazing.
And it was so funny to see John Carpenter because he's just real like, I'm John Carpenter and I make horror films. Horror movies will always be alive. This one's called Halloween.
He just, I love horror films.
Yeah.
I just love that, you know?
Yeah, so
He
cool.
was rocking out.
Yeah, he did They Live, he did The Fog, he did all the hits. Like,
Yeah. And even the ones from his other albums, like, what is it?
The
Lost Themes.
Really
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
Some of them are really, really good.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
do you know, it's weird when you hear them, though. You just you can't not picture what kind of film you think this would have gone to.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool. I think.
Yeah.
Is that it?
So
for this week?
Like the last week when the episode was uploaded by Film Ireland, like there was people commenting and talking about the movies and that. So I think it'd be a good idea for people to tell us about what they saw over Halloween, what they did, and what their top horror movies are as
Yeah,
well.
I'd love to.
And where should they say this, Connor?
On the Film Ireland
Ireland
link
link.
when the episode is uploaded in the next week or two, probably.
Yeah, that'd be good. Get people's top 5.
Absolutely, yeah.
Up on Facebook or directly on the website? Is it? I know they shared it on Facebook and Twitter, but
In the comments of the video, I'd say.
Okay, cool. Hopefully people have listened to the end. We should have said it at the top.
I'll listen to it to our last episode as well, and to this one, and hopefully they will as well. I just want to put that out there, so to give no one an excuse not to listen, because I will listen.
Cool, yeah, no, that's a good idea.
and ask your questions.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to speak English next time.
Yeah. And sure, even maybe they could throw us some ideas for things they'd like us to talk about in our next episode. We could, if we like them, we'll bring them up.
Cool.
Perfect.
Well,
Okay.
next week, can we talk about my boy Vincent Price? Because I had a moment a couple of weeks ago where you've all seen Edward Scissorhands, obviously, and Vincent Price holds a heart cookie up to the robot, and that's how he gets the idea for for making Edward into a real boy.
For making Johnny Depp.
Which is a natural
Thank
conclusion
God
to
for
make.
that. And when I was looking at that, and just Danny Elfman's music started playing, and I realized, because I was taken to see that in the cinema, and I had realized that was probably one of those moments where I was like, horror, Vincent Price film, that was the moment where he gave his heart to me. And
Beautiful.
And made me want to make horror movies.
And cookies.
And cookies. And Johnny Depp. So that was like a tear-jerking moment, I guess, because I've been out of production for so long, and it was just that like really like kick in the ball reminder of why
In the singular ball.
it did I say the singular? Oh god damn it, I need to go to bed.
Okay, we got to end this podcast. Okay, I'm going to hit stop now.
Should we say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Thanks a million, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
And Shakma. Shocking audiences everywhere. Shakma!